It's really good for scrubbing. There's other brushes that I have, when you're getting to a certain stage, you need sable, and I really like a brush that I don't find so much anymore, but it's got real long hairs and kind of thin for a drawing. I've had some ordered in Jerry's Artorama for months, and they haven't gotten it. But the spirit of this is scrubbing. I should show you this a little better, but you see the shapes back here are much smaller, and that's one of the things that I'm going to start making smaller patches of color.
Margaret, when you paint, do you use a lot of natural light?
I have a combination in my studio of natural light, spots, and even these overhead freaky fluorescent tubes. Because I just need a fair amount of light.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see
As I mentioned it, I still think they're speaking to you, and you've got your very, very positioning in what you're doing.
How many people here are artists too? There are two right here that are talking to each other and that are artists and are showing their art. And I just wondered if there are any other people that were here.
You mean specifically oil?
Well, no,
But just
anything.
people who paint. Who paints? Oh, good, good.
How about wannabes?
Or who doesn't paint?
I know
Who's
this is
inspired now to go out and try it?
Well, this is probably an unfair question, but are you working quicker or more slowly or about the same rate that
right
you
at
would
this
normally?
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am conscious of the time, and I was hoping to get at least the thing sort of blocked in. So I am working faster.
Okay.
And then plus, I'm now, you can see what my compositional idea is now, is that the sort of dot rhythm, up at the top of it, as opposed to the broader sort of slabs of shapes. And so.
Well, so far you've done away with a lake and a river.
I call that progress. Okay, and the
The sky, I mean, she's putting this, the sky's gonna be there for sure.
This might be a good time to use larger brushes. The pressure's on.
Sort of reminds me of Spencer's View or Skinner's View. A little bit, in those areas.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that.
You're still over there.
Whatever, like tombstones, go drop there. Really? Absolutely. No, of course not. Yeah, well, it's.
Do you have any private students, Margaret, or?
No, I had one for a while. She got too busy with her job, but I just took her because she had asked me 10 years ago, and I wasn't teaching anymore, so I thought that was for watercolor. So anybody that asks for 10 years deserves an audience.
I knew Andy Vincent's son went to school with him.
Oh, really? Yeah. Was that, let's see,
Drew.
Drew? Okay, I didn't ever meet him. I met the younger one.
You're putting cool colors in the background to make it feel more like a sky depth and...
Yeah, the cool colors in the background, and so you can kind of see that it starts receding a little bit. Even though I have, but I love that yellow glow coming through. It's one of the nice things about whether if you're using cool colors is to get a little bit of warm in it. If you're using warm, you get a little bit cool in it. That's something I like.
Well, this is on the way to Stonehenge, and I noticed Stonehenge over here in the gallery.
Oh, yeah. I actually did a watercolor of Stonehenge, and then that was, we didn't have very much time, so I had to do it in less than 2 hours.
Did you see any pagans?
You know what? They're very smart. They don't identify themselves.
Do they look like druids, I think.
How long does the oil stay damp enough for you to make changes?
Definitely for the painting session. Definitely for a whole painting session. If you leave them overnight, it's partially dry. One of the things that I like to do, since you know I like to pick up color with the rag, is do bits of dark colors going in the morning, and then a few hours later come back and go in, and then it's slightly set up, but you can still pick up paint. And materials make a big difference in what you can do and what you will do.
I've never used acrylics. How do acrylics compare with oil?
They're
Are they
completely,
quicker, or what? Do they
yes, they are.
do they mix as well, or do they?
The reason I use them only infrequently is because you can't mix subtle little different value changes as much. You know,
Okay.
they have a strange viscosity, and they almost seem like the medium keeps you from getting as much pigment as you get with oil, in my
Okay.
opinion. And so,
Interesting.
One of the comments behind me is that you have some nice things going.
oh, good. Well, someone was asking about how many, ones that you end up tossing, and I don't tend to toss paintings very often. I just figure that each painting, like a person, has a life, and you just haven't gotten to the teenage stage yet.
When they rebel.
Would it embarrass you to say anything about what you're going to be doing?
About what?
I, do you have it in your car? Why don't you bring it in? It'll be all right.
I noticed your new series, Margaret, uses large canvases, and you've used them before. Is this a preference? And does it?
Yeah, it seems like with a series, I tend to get into a certain size for the series. That's a good observation. And I just thought that I needed this much scale, that it would be much easier than it would be if I didn't have that. I'm gonna see what I can get going here.
For a day of painting, how much time to set up and take down?
Oh, good point. It is important when you go out and paint, but I keep my studio, I just leave my studio, leave everything in it. Sometimes I just put the brushes in paint thinner, you know, and in fact, I always do that, to be truthful, and then come back and paint it later, clean them later. I'm going to try to get as much done in here so you can see what see the painting, kind of imagine what it's all about.
When you get this one completely done, days or weeks from now, Margaret, will you take a picture of it and send it back so we can see what the final one is going to look like?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do photograph, now that I have a good cell phone camera that's easy to just remember to have with me, is that I photograph them in process more now. Like, all of these paintings have been photographed probably 10 times. You know?
This lady back here has brought a painting and wanted to ask you a question,
Oh, okay.
especially.
Maybe after, let's take all the time to try to get this to a point
Okay,
where
that's fine.
January
I guess.
to July.
Here's what you can do with the big brush.
oh yeah, I got into using this,
You're not getting what you want.
I think when I was painting outside, and then I just found that it's really
Thing.
helpful.
You know, just take the planning committee and then apparently they're very receptive. So if you don't see what you like.
Okay, well, you just
Start your own.
just with what? Right there?
No, you're holding your brush up.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Well, I was just trying to decide, see, I've got a relationship, which I had all along, between a red, warm red here and a red up here. And I was just trying to think of what I could do to make them different and still red, you know. And so what I'm thinking of is that I would just lighten it up. And also I felt, yeah, I like that a little better. I still wanted to have, I want to keep the space, you know, the background lighter. this is the kind of thing that interests me a lot. When just a simple little shade can be in contrast to the things around it, and at the same time kind of define them. In other words, these trees are sort of defined by what's behind them.
It's interesting the way you've created depth and perspective by having the sort of larger shapes in the lower half and then make it sort of progressively smaller or more defined.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that was interesting about this particular subject, that was, and that it works really well. Now this color that I just put in, I like that sort of thing. It seems to me it's kind of transitional. See, we've got a lot of greens over here, and we're moving towards the warmer yellow greens and even to some oranges. And this is a very neutral color. But to me, that's spot on. You know, in terms of shapes moving forward and back, that's what was a cooking hostess. That's what we're talking about. I think we'll just put a teeny bit more on this. We've got probably about time for questions. Do you get the picture on it?
Oh,
definitely.
Thank you so much. You were going to, I think I asked you if you could mention about the next
Oh, yes. I don't.
show, of which these, I believe, are going to be part.
Well, we don't have a date set for the next show. I only have about less than half the show completed. But I'll have a show at the Schrager and Clark Gallery, and it'll be called, let's see, The English Tour will be the title of the show. So if you can watch for it, you know, and catch it if you want to. These are paintings that I've been working on in this series. These are all completed, except I don't know for sure. Recently, the one in the very far end may or may not be completed. It depends on how I feel about it. It's only been finished for a couple of days. But anyway.
Is it possible that this might be in the show?
Yes, because this is based on a subject matter. It's the same. It's England, but it's obviously it's something with this type of subject matter. It could be anywhere, but it's not.
Particular questions or comments? Phyllis?
Well, I'm not an artist, and so I'm looking at this picture, and you created a great sense of distance in there, and I can't figure out how you did it.
Oh, that's
As if
really
you're standing way out here looking across a plain to that high hill in the back, and I can't figure out how you did that.
Well, that's really the right kind of question, because frankly, when I'm painting, my right brain's functioning, my left brain is not, so I don't anticipate, you know, what I should say. But it's all about space. Is that for one thing is that the colors in back lower plane are not the same. They're a little bit lighter, and so that sets, you know, you're in a different space. And the other thing is that I've set up some movement here to see you move like that. And so I almost, so many of my paintings, one of the first things I think about is what's the major movements? And as I work on something for a long time, then I can get real interested in subtle difference. I kind of like the way this one goes from a darker green to a lighter, less intense green, then a dark, less intense green, and a little bit more intense green, yellow green. Anyway, and then it goes to a white space. So there's something different to look at. You see this progression, and I am so fascinated in not just in patterns as one shape against another, but how progressions of a given directional shape. What steps? It can't, if it's all the same color, it doesn't seem like there's any space. It seems flat, but there could be progressions of shifts, and that is more effective if they're not all the same. So that this progression is kind of greens darker towards the lighter, and then you have sort of a crescendo of just a bunch of small undefined shapes, which is real similar to what the photograph was. This shape has the more red. This is a redder passage. The red just shows as a orange, and then sort of what I think of a lower intensity, because it's a green with a slightly, it's got an orange that's been mixed with green, let's say. So that's kind of a low intensity. Then you get another bright spot as that's yellow, and then you move on to a mixed shape but it has you probably noticed while I was painting, as soon as I put that red in, that sort of orange in there, it moved it. It created visual movement up to that. Now this one, if I have this down, then see that can even become further into space. So, and then someone asked what I was thinking about when I was looking, but I'm always looking at, okay, is that too similar to this? Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Is that the thing with these relationships of color is that they need to be dynamic. They need to be doing something as a color unit. It needs to be progressing somewhere. And you have to be careful that if something is too similar, well, if it's somewhat similar, it makes it cohesive. If it's too similar, then it's kind of redundant, or seems to work against. You see what I mean? So I would probably, if I took this, I'm reluctant to wipe it out, because what would happen is that would just tower. Maybe I'll do that. So see, you see how they're kind of balanced? Mm-hmm. As soon as I wipe this out, that's going to be it's going to be such a huge element.
Yeah. It looks top heavy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There needs to be enough weight on this. So probably something like, I should do something really crazy, like put more of an orange in there, just to see what happens. Don't have orange on my palette.
I think another thing that helps to add the depth to the picture is that the forms that are in front there are more distinct. And the farther you go back into the picture, the less distinct they become.
Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. That's definitely a spatial thing. It's interesting to me how this is a lesson. Okay, as soon as I do this, that loses impact. You see? Mm-hmm. You see that this, that's. So what you do, you get to thinking about what colors might. I think about earthy or red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, that works a little better. And so you're always, some colors end up that they need to be tempered. You need to put something in them that's more like other things in the painting. Other ones need to become stronger, you know, and meaning that they're more isolated, that they, meaning that things, other colors around them that are sort of harmonious with each other, and this kind of stands out. You see what I mean? Yeah.
So do you think about moving the eye around the canvas?
Absolutely.
And then, so if you put a fortress on that hill in the back, that would change the itinerary, wouldn't it?
Fortress? Yeah.
Say you put a big tower or something on that hill in the distance.
Yeah, and it
What would
wouldn't
that
work.
do?
It
You
wouldn't
wouldn't like that.
Yeah, well, but also it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah. And if there, what you could have, what this subject did have, was it had a little building in it somewhere. And then up here, okay, this is,
It's also the same to your left. Little lights, something. But
Okay.
you gotta watch Phyllis. Something about musical composition,
oh,
you know.
okay.
She's moving her hair on the
Yeah, isn't that the case? You wear your, have your gloves on like a good girl.
That technique is called finger painting, right?
It is. Guilty is charged too. That's true.
I think another feature that you're using to give the feeling of depth is that the outlines that you use in the background are much thinner than in the foreground.
Uh-huh. Excellent.
That define the shapes.
Right, yes,
And that tends to draw the eye towards the finer details.
right. And the thing is, you want to enjoy each section, but not alone. You know, you want it to always be leading somewhere. I still don't think that this is, I've absolutely got the right color choice for this. But anyway, so be it.
I think it's speaking to you very, very well.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't be speaking.
Yeah.
See, that works a little better. See,
Yeah.
broke it up with a little bit of green. Actually, that works better. See, because each step in that progression has to have something different, or it's not a step, it's a continuum. Oh, that's more than I thought I'd get done this time.
Please feel free to see the gallery of paintings as well. And if you want to have questions personally.
Yes, absolutely. About 20 graphics, and so I did that. No, and my sister died. I'll have to ask my niece about, I had some shades, is that it'll suddenly look like there's, it's so easy to see a face.
Yeah. Journal thesis spoke to me after I finished them sometime. Like one of them, journal thesis spoke to me after I finished them sometime. Like one of them.
I haven't seen it. And there's another that she worked in. Everybody loves it. She's, oh, I know what it is. It's assisted living, and she doesn't really need assisted living. I have an awful hard time working small, unless, if I'm trying to do, this was a preparation from making some decisions. I don't do preliminary things very often at all, but you do get something out of that. I did that also. I did
Yeah, I was talking to Kim about that. And I'm just kind of like, hey, and that's funny because
Going to look for it. I wanted to have it. So much.
Yeah. Pieces?
No, just one.
Just one?
It's a good one. There's Craftmaster and this one. Well, we'll buy the new one. You know, I'll keep that in mind.
No.
So this is gonna tarnish. It's red.
Okay, perfect. Yep, 15, 15, 15.
I've gotten stuff in the pound.
Yeah, it looks like you got $5 more. If you, there's a $5 one in here. You want to grab one?
What, dear?
Maybe a little cousin or somebody.
Yeah.
Appetizer thing.
okay.
But it's still. Well, I got one.
Real estate all day.
I'm at the egg.
So, events if they ask me, but I don't do the fair. Although my daughter said, Mom, come on out and just walk. You mean like that?
That's how you did it last time. And so he got that lemur. Good job.
Let's do it.
In about 10 minutes, we're going to have the Zany Zoo with all their animals up here on stage. We would also like to take a moment and thank our sponsor of the Youth Art Arena, Weimar, for this year. And I'd like to encourage all of you. You don't like it? You want to pat it? What's that? It's up to you. Yeah, I
Holy cow, that is so neat. She's very friendly. They won't bite you unless you scare them. And they think